Scared myself really bad when I moved this fridge earlier and a giant fuzzy brown thing came running at me. I thought it was a rat coming to gnaw my leg off, and it was just a cottontail rabbit. Hey guys, it's Rhett from the 100 Acre Wood Highlands out here today to start a new project. When I bought my place a couple of years ago, this piece of property I had my eyes on for quite a long time because it's 18 acres that was adjacent to my family's farm that I'd grown up on since I was a little kid. And I wish I had some better before and after photos of the house, but I was able to purchase the property a couple years ago and it had a lot of work that had to get done. We completely remodeled the house, gutted everything out of it and rebuilt all of it and brought it up to be a pretty nice little farmhouse here. But on the farm, there is a old dairy barn, and I'm not exactly certain about how old it is, but the house is about 75 years old, so I believe the barn is about that old. And there was a kind of a lean-to shed way back in the back. And, you know, priorities, I had to fix the house first, and then after the house was fixed, I had to go around the perimeter of the property to make sure all the fences were secure enough to let my cows in here. And then once the cows were in here, there was no fence around the house, and so we had cows right up in your backyard and right in your front porch all the time. So that had to be enclosed. But now I'm finally ready to move on to restoring this old dairy barn the best I can. And when I was going through the remodel process of the house, we had a dumpster out here because people had left a bunch of stuff in the house and a whole lot of stuff in this barn, and I was able to get a lot of the stuff out of the barn, but there's still a bunch of junk in it. So tomorrow I'm having a roll-off dumpster delivered to the house, and the first step is we're gonna gut everything out of this. There's a lot of repairs that have got to be done. You can see some of the windows are broken on this. It's missing some shingles up top, and I'll go around and show you that the doors need replaced, but I'm hoping to be able to turn it into at least a shed where I can store some of my tools that we use around on the farm, and maybe convert the back half into a chicken coop. I do know at one point they were using the back half of this for chickens because there's old roosting nests back there. So this is the next project on the farm. I think it's going to be a big project. It's going to take a little bit of time to get done with, but I hope when we get to the end of this process that it'll be a really nice addition to be able to use and help better improve the property. So thanks for watching, guys. Let's check it out. So you can see this shed has had a lot better days. Some broken windows, broken shingles, but I think it could have some pretty cool features. If we come here to the back, it has a very old sliding barn door. You know, those have become really popular in people's houses lately, but if we take a look inside, I just want to give you an idea of how much junk is in here. And I've already cleaned out quite a bit, but the barn is kind of divided into two halves. That door up there leads to a little bit of a storage room in between, and then there's actual like a workshop area up front. But there's some old roosting nests in here. You can see that's one, and that's one over in the back. But this barn was actually, they used it to milk cows at one point. And this area right here was the feed trough where the cows would come in. And if there wasn't so much junk on the floor, you'd be able to see that there's a trough where it's kind of poured into the concrete to be able to clean out the floor after the cows have been in here. So it's kind of a neat piece of history to think about. You know, people used to milk cows in this little bitty room. It's probably just a little bit bigger than you know, someone's bedroom might be, but I'm hoping that if I get all this cleared out, that part of it can be used as a chicken pen. Here's the other door that leads into the barn, and there's a great big grapevine that grows up around the side of it, and I have no idea what these holes in the walls are for, but when we come in here, a bunch of junk in here as well. The lighting is terrible, but old workbench with just a bunch of knick-knack stuff. I did find something pretty cool when I was going through here. Let me get around to it. This workbench here had this, I don't know, this little box. And when I opened it up, it is full of newspapers. And let me see if I can find the date on one. This is the Oklahoma City Times, from price 5 cents. Let's see, October 8th, 1946. U.S. will borrow beef from Britain to feed soldiers. So that was the coolest find that I've found so far, and I really haven't flipped through it very much to see, you know, what all kind of articles are in here. But you know, if you've got newspapers in here from the 40s. That kind of tells you a little bit about how old this barn really is. And I am kind of interested in seeing, you know, what kind of articles they were writing at that time. Let's see if we can find a different date on one of these. Okay, here we go. Cattle and butterfat prices skid on city markets. 1946. So, pretty crazy piece of history here in the barn. There was some other stuff I found that was kind of neat. In this box, there's a collection of old McDonald's cups. We got Ronald McDonald, the Hamburglar, I can't think of what this guy's name is, but I've seen him before on their old advertisements. But it's like a whole set of McDonald's glasses. Here's a Dr. Pepper cup. I thought that's pretty cool. What else is in here? Let's see. Some more jars and stuff. Really, there's gonna be quite a bit of work to get this all cleaned out, and you know, I'll probably keep the magazines somewhere, at least until I've looked through them, and maybe I'll keep those cups too. But my goal with this dumpster is to just start by getting all this junk out of here. I want to clear up some of the bushes around the trees, and then I'd like to paint the walls. I think painting the outside and the inside of the walls white would look a lot nicer. And then I think the next step would be to remove all the old shingles. If I need to replace any of the boards in the ceiling, I'll do that. But then I think I'm going to go back with sheet metal instead of shingles, and then replace the doors. If I could get that done on this, I think, you know, the front part of this room would be a good place to keep, you know, some of the garden tools and just, you know, outside stuff that I need a place to put. And the back half I think would make an awesome chicken coop, or maybe even a place to park the Ranger, who knows. But big project, you know, it's going to take a lot of work, but I'm excited to get it done. When I was younger, I raised chickens, and I showed them in 4-H and in FFA, and I haven't had chickens in quite a long time, but we had a chicken coop down by my parents' barn, and unfortunately it burned down. You know, there was no chickens in it, so don't worry about that, but it burnt down several years ago. There was a big ice storm, and we went through and we were cutting you know, all the broken limbs and putting them in a barrel, and the fire got out of that barrel and happened to be about 10 feet away from that chicken coop, and it burned up. So now we don't have a place to keep the chickens anymore. And so I think this area right on this side of the barn, on this end down here with the barn door, would be a good spot for that. It's kind of on the same side where I planted some fruit trees, so they're still pretty young. But there's a mature pear tree up here that I picked a whole bunch of pears from last, you know, September and October, and then we planted 2 new pear trees, 2 apple trees, and I can't remember if it's 6 or 9 Nanking cherry bushes. And so, you know, this side of the farm, I kind of got like a little mini orchard going in, but I think this would be a good spot too to make a small chicken run where they could get out, peck on some grass, and be sheltered and have some shade when it's hot, and then be able to go back inside and stay safe at night. And so, you know, chickens around here, I see hawks a lot, we see coyotes. I saw a bobcat the other day when I was out riding on the Ranger. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of predators, so you need a space to keep them safe, and snakes are one of those that are more difficult to keep out. So, you know, that'll be later on down the road after we get this barn kind of cleaned out and repaired a little bit, but super excited to get some chickens here on the farm. So we made quite a bit of progress. The dumpster's here. Scared myself really bad when I moved this fridge earlier and a giant fuzzy brown thing came running at me. I thought it was a rat coming to gnaw my leg off, and it was just a cottontail rabbit. But they used to raise chickens in here, and I dared to open the refrigerator door, and in case we run out of eggs, there's one left here in the fridge. So emergency supplies right there. All right, so we made quite a bit of progress today in the barns. I probably filled up maybe a third of that dumpster already, and I've got most of the big items out of here. There's a refrigerator in the other room, and I actually pulled that egg out, and it was completely hollow. It's tiny, maybe like a bantam egg or something. But we're gonna get the tractor for a couple of big items there and some other places around the farm, stuff I wanna throw away. But getting a lot closer. I feel like I'm doing some like major spring cleaning while we're cooped up at home, and you know, Lucy's out here and she wants to help, but she's trying to play and stuff, and just enjoying the time outside and trying to get some projects done on the farm. Thanks for watching. I hope this ends up being a really cool barn when we're done using it, something that we can use for some chickens or maybe some goats or something in the future, and also a place to keep the tools. But if you haven't already, subscribe down below. If you can find me on Facebook by searching 100 Acre Wood Highlands. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.